Go Blue! Hello and welcome to TC Sports. My name is Jacob Butzine alongside Aaron Klinker and Andrew Schultz. What you just listened to was the University of Michigan's fight song. You know, boys, my new favorite numbers of all time are 42 and 45. By far, my favorite numbers, probably ever. So wow. We went into Columbus and we gave Ohio State the work in the second half. We said, "Oh, you can have that cute little 3-point lead at halftime. Well, we'll let you have it." And then Don Everett said, "I am the Don." And he said, "Gone, gone." Michigan gets a 45-23 win in Columbus for the first time since 2000. I wasn't even born yet.
I was.
I was a month and a half old. I am
I
now
was like
22 years old.
I was like
It
3
was great.
months.
So,
But the crazy thing was, I would say it was a relatively close game because it was 31-20. And then, Ohio State finally drove down the field, and Mike Sanistro made the absolute play of the game, running from the opposite hash all the way across to have a textbook PBU, breaking up the Cade Stover, what would have been a touchdown pass, as we see Aaron is turning off battery saver.
I
And
am so sorry. I had no idea it was going to show.
as we look at his Jetta's, um,
Sorry, my computer was being a little weird. That's my bad.
Sanistro makes pass breakup of the game, play of the game, forces Ohio State to kick a field goal, which then, gives us an 8-point lead. And then defense did the rest. And then 2 big plays later, Donovan Edwards punches it, and Ohio State lost all willpower to play football for the next probably month and a half.
And what Ohio State does not realize, they are losing their quarterback
No, I think they realize.
and wide receiver, but our quarterback and Donovan Edwards is back, and most of our offense, and it's in Ann Arbor, and they're going to get beat again next year in Ann Arbor because Michigan is back.
We actually had quite a lot of freshmen playing in that game too. Mason Graham, Brandon Fraser.
We had two. After Ohio State paid on their dime for 2 recruits to come watch so that they could commit at Ohio State. And what do? I'm committing to the University of Michigan. Talk about Jim Harbaugh and Michigan getting the win, probably of the program. A win that's probably going to turn the tides of this rivalry because winning in Ann Arbor was cute. It was fun. We broke the streak. Then we went into Columbus and said, this rivalry is back. It's just, ooh.
Other rivalry games were fun too. Florida State, highest scoring game ever in that rivalry. It was back and forth. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, late night Thanksgiving game. If you weren't watching the Vikings Patriots games or wrapping up with the Giants Cowboys, you had Lane Kiffin use 2 timeouts on a 2-point conversion play, which made no sense.
Yep.
And then it lived up to the hype. Kansas State smacked around Kansas for the 14th straight year. I don't think anybody was surprised by that one.
Listen, if Michigan can break the whatever the streak was at one point, then so can
Kansas. I think Kansas will do it next year for sure. Washington State was just absolutely nuts. Up until Washington started to pull away. That was a 10:30 p.m. Pac-12 after dark game. Apple Cup lives up to the hype almost every year. Oregon State. Oregon State down 21. Down 21. They threw 6 passes and erased the 21-point deficit to win by 4. Oh. 6 passes. 6 down 21. They just kept running up the middle, run up the middle, run up the middle. They had a couple plays go their way. Oregon got stuffed. On a 4th and 1 where Bo Nix should have handed it off, but he kept it himself. Got absolutely lit up. And then Oregon State makes a goal line stand to survive in Oregon State, which I think is in Eugene. No, Oregon's in Eugene. I forget where Oregon State is. They had half a stadium due to renovations, but the crowd definitely helped. Oregon State pulls off a win, which is a huge step for their program because their coach is currently in a rebuilding process. And you might see a good old Oregon State rivalry back and forth over the next few years with Lanning and their
A
coach.
civil war. Absolutely insane.
Link, your thoughts on rivalry weekend?
It was really, really good, except for that one game. Honestly, you guys know I'm not an Ohio State fan, but that's 3 hours of my life I'm never getting back. Honestly,
3 hours of your life of greatness. That's what that was.
yeah, maybe for you guys. Honestly,
Oh, Edwards just ran down the sideline again.
oh, did he? Shit, I missed it.
Too
Look,
busy
like I said, hey. Look, if I'm CJ Stroud, if I'm Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm getting the hell out of there because Ohio State, they may get all these recruits, which I don't know how many recruits they're going to be getting now, but they may be known for like being a powerhouse. But as long as Ryan Day's there, that program's so screwed. I'm sorry. Ryan Day has got to go.
I don't think their program is screwed. I think that's a narrative. I think a lot of Ohio State fans are jumping the gun because they're like, "Oh no, we lost twice to Michigan." Well, like
no. I'm not saying it's because of losing twice to Michigan. I mean, that's happened before. It's just it had rarely happened in our lifetime. I'm saying if Ryan Day is the coach next year after potentially losing to Michigan for the 3rd year in a row, he needs to go. I'm sorry. Like you can no, hold on. I'm not finished. You can have a great record in the Big Ten. Like, what is it? 30. What is his Big Ten record? Like 35-4?
he's 31-2 in the Big Ten. He's 45 and now 6 overall. 2 of those 6 losses are to Michigan. 3 of the other ones are to, he had Bama 2020 year. He had a Clemson team and was like game of the year, and then it was Bama, I believe, again. So like it's not like their program is screwed because like I think if they would have lost Penn State, Michigan, and Maryland, then you're in trouble.
He only has 5 losses as a coach.
Well, now
yeah,
6. It was
I know, but
5. Now
my point being, like this happened with I forget which Ohio State coach it was. I think it was
Super.
He's
it happened with him. Yeah, he went
1-11-1 against Michigan in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you can't beat your rivals, like that's like his.
If Ohio State wants to fire Ryan Day and start all over and go have a Rich Rod Brady Hoke era, because I'm fine with that. They can do that. I'll beat them up for 8 straight years. But like, guess what? Michigan's joined you. Like, you're not beating up on mediocre Michigan teams anymore. Michigan beating you is not the end of the world. It's okay. I have to reevaluate what I'm doing as a coach now because Michigan's there. Like, we're back. You're not beating up on mediocre teams. But if you want to fire Ryan Day and hire some mediocre, because guess what? Fickle's off to Wisconsin.
No, I know.
Who's your replacement? Go find someone, please.
So listen, a couple things is during the stretch of Ohio State beating Michigan 3 times, or beating them 17 times out of 20 times from 2000 to 2020. Or do I guess 2019?
There you go.
Michigan from 2007 to 2014 never finished the season in the top 25. So you
once, I think, in 2011.
Okay, yeah, okay, but either way, from like 2000
once since Carr left.
So 2007 to like we'll say the first, Harbaugh year. Which is like 8 or 9 years.
2015. So
8 or 9 years.
9 years of bad Michigan teams.
Ohio State beat on a Michigan program that had not finished in the top 25 7 of those 9 years. So you beat up on bad Michigan team, like awful. Rich Rod ruined the program. It could have been fixed after Rich Rod those 3 years. Instead, Harbaugh went to Stanford, or I'm sorry, he went to
He went to the NFL.
he went to the NFL, and then we got Brady Hoke, and it just got worse and worse and worse. Recruiting was still there, but development was not there.
But not to the level. It was like 3
No,
stars.
recruiting was there. I mean,
we had a few players here and there.
I mean, J.U. Chesson, Amara Daba, like all Jabril Peppers, those were all Brady Hoke people. There was no development. Sure. And so, yeah, congrats. You won a lot against not good Michigan teams. Now it's a rivalry again. 2, Ohio State fans are spoiled. You won 17 of 20. Like, you're going to lose. And now Michigan's just changing the tide. Like, they need to understand, like, if the 2000s, the 2019 didn't happen, Michigan had 17 or probably 14 more game lead on you. You cut the lead to Michigan up 10. Like, it's still been a pretty dominant Michigan rivalry. Yes, you've dominated this, but you're spoiled and you're acting that most fans are acting like spoiled brats. Some fans are just
reasonable.
But look, I don't like Ryan Day. That's my whole point.
I don't like him either, but it's probably because he plays or coaches that other school, the state university.
I've never been a fan of Ryan Day. For whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why. I just never.
I mean, he's done a good job. I mean, not a lot of coaches go 45-5. Yeah, you can say, well, he's lost all his big games, but guess what? Brian Kelly, he's done the same. He can't win the big ones. So, like, I guess you have to make that choice, you know?
And let's
go be mediocre, though. Go be mediocre. I don't care. I'll beat up on bad Ohio State teams. I don't care. Makes no difference to me.
He took over a dynasty. I mean,
he took over a Ferrari and just was told not to crash it. And guess what? The Ferrari has crashed.
Yeah, it's burning. It's in the river. Well, it's not burning in the river.
Wrapped around a tree. What are you going to do about it? So we'll see how good of a rebuilder Ryan Day is, because he has to reevaluate. He has to say, okay, what am I doing? Because he doesn't have a program problem like Klatt said. He has a Michigan problem, and that Michigan problem is a big stonking beast. Because guess what? We're here. We're angry. We remember the 20 years, and so does Harbaugh. Harbaugh absolutely remembers every single year since he left that they've beaten us.
I mean, let's be honest.
This is Harbaugh football from now on. Deal with it.
Harbaugh family football. Let's be honest. Harbaugh still watched Michigan and cheered for Michigan. He watched how bad it was. All Michigan fans, all Michigan alumni understand the heartbreak that we went through for 20 years. And now Harbaugh said, you know what? We're going back to good old Bo Schembechler ball. We're going to 3 yards in a cloud of dust you until we just break the big one. Maybe not once. This weekend happened twice. And that was more of just the icing on the cake.
And you hire a Big 12 coordinator, guess what? You get Big 12 defense.
Listen, I did not know that dude was from the Big 12 until a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, no.
They were talking about it all year. They were Jim Knowles.
You really think I was watching Ohio State?
For 10 games, they said, oh, Jim Knowles.
Dude, do you really think I was watching Ohio State all the damn time?
All right, let's move on. It was a great weekend.
No, it still wasn't.
Kansas fans.
Bowl eligible out there.
Kansas wins 6-6. Best record.
Bowl eligible.
All right.
Hey,
heading into hot take.
It's progress. All right, hot takes.
It is progress.
Hot takes by the council. We'll start with the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Klinker.
In the dark.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
So my hot take is that K-State will upset TCU in the Big 12 championship.
Ooh.
That's a hot take. I mean, we'll get into the game later, but I mean, TCU's only like a 2-point favorite, 2.5-point favorite. So I don't know if that's really a hot take, but.
Well, you guys already know who my pick's going to be, so.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's a free point.
I mean, that's still an upset. A 3-loss team being an undefeated team. That's an upset.
But I mean, Kansas State's ranked 10. They're a top 10 team.
but that's more of an upset than you think.
It is still a 3-loss team, possibly upsetting an undefeated team.
True.
Now, if we're talking about
Okay.
upsets,
Anyway, yeah, let's hear it.
no, I was just gonna say that Michigan's up 23-15 now, number 3 Virginia. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Anyway, so Kansas State. Honestly, as much as like Andrew's thing is not a hot take, it's definitely a hot take. But like, if that happens, chaos. Because then the committee has to say TCU or Ohio State. And in my opinion, TCU gets the edge. They have probably one of the best resumes in the country. Now, I know sometimes you have to, decipher, okay, resume versus how good the team is. When you're comparing Michigan and Georgia and TCU might have the resume, but they don't have the high caliber wins. Like Michigan went into Columbus. In the top 15 teams, no ranked team has went on the road and beat a ranked team this year, except Ohio State going into Penn State was the only one, and Michigan was the only top 3 or top really 5, even 10 team to go in to and beat a ranked team. Again, besides Ohio State, because Penn State wasn't a top 10 team at the time. So that's hard.
Here's what I'll say. Like if TCU loses, they're still in. Like, and I'll say this because TCU is playing their 13th game. Okay, so if you're gonna evaluate them on a 13-game schedule and they come out with 1 loss, Ohio State doesn't even have that 13th game.
Right.
No.
And then you go, okay, well, what about on a 12-game schedule? Well, TCU went 12-0 on a 12-game comparison. Ohio State went 11-1. And then you go, okay, well, let's look at their losses. TCU's playing in their, again, 13th game of the season, which is 1 more than Ohio State's playing. And let's say they lose on a field goal or something. Then, okay, so you lost by 3 to number 10, which that's not a great loss, but it's still better than losing by 22 at home to the number 2 team in the country.
Let me just put in this perspective. Conference championship games are a joke. You're going to tell me that Michigan and Purdue have the same chance of winning the Big Ten, and Michigan is undefeated and Purdue has 4 losses. Like, Michigan is the Big Ten champion. Yes, they have to take care of business.
We still got to win.
I understand that, but it's ridiculous that this game, which this is why division shouldn't be, but then we have to play Ohio State again. But like even LSU, Georgia, divisions, Georgia and LSU get to play each other.
You want to see Georgia versus Tennessee again?
No, thank you.
My point is there shouldn't be a conference championship game. Georgia is the SEC champion. TCU is the Big 12 championship. They've taken care of business. Why should they have to play a 3-loss team? Because then they're going to be screwed because they don't get a division title like the Big Ten does. They don't get anything if they lose, except a playoff berth, which is ridiculous.
They get runner-up, which is still second, which is better than every other Big 12 school. And you look at Texas. Texas went, what did they go, 7-4 this year? 8-4?
Yeah. 7. No, I think it was 8-4.
8-4?
But they just gonna. If they're going to do this, should just get rid of Big Ten championship games, add another game in your conference, and then just say whoever is leading wins. Like,
well, the Big 12 plays 9 games in their conference.
Right, but if you're going to do a 13th game as the championship game,
I'm for championship games. It matters. They matter.
Oh, so Purdue wins. They're the Big Ten
I think TCU will be valued as such. Like, hey, you played in a conference championship, and these other teams did not. Like, you did something these other teams did not, and that's where my hot take comes in. It's a bit of a two-parter.
But USC can lose, and they're out.
You lost 2 times to the same team.
But they're clearly the Pac-12 champion. They've lost 2 less times. I mean, okay. I guess in this scenario, I guess in this scenario, Utah. Well, Utah
beat USC already.
Right. So if they won again, I guess that would be fair. But like, it's just ridiculous that LSU can win.
USC didn't play Washington. They didn't play everybody in their conference.
They should just do a 13th game. This week should be Michigan, Ohio State rivalry week, and then the winner is the champion.
I'll get in. Well, that's where my hot take comes in. Okay.
All right.
It's a bit of a two-parter. So for one, the Big Ten is going to become the powerhouse conference with Rule and Fickle moving into the Big Ten. And part two,
SEC bias.
Part two is the Big Ten and the SEC should keep divisions. Okay?
Wait,
and here's
what was the first conference? It cut out.
the Big Ten and the SEC should keep divisions when the conferences expand. And I broke it down. So in the Big Ten, Michigan versus Ohio State for the last game of the year should absolutely be for the Big Ten East title. Okay? Because it makes it just that much better. There's more on the line. It makes it a fun game. But in the West, so the Big Ten is potentially going to be Michigan. You're going to have Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, and Purdue in the East, most likely, those 8 teams in the East. And then in the West, you're going to have USC, UCLA, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, and Northwestern. Now, Northwestern and Rutgers are pretty bad. But let's say hypothetically, you're going to have a 2 or 3 loss Big Ten champion because of just how good these programs are going to be. Because you're going to have Michigan potentially playing USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State, and Minnesota, and possibly Illinois all in the same year. 7 out of 9 conference games are going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have that 2 or 3 loss Big Ten champion, and those 2 and 3 losses, this is probably part 3 of my hot take, need to be valued where they should be valued. Because if you have 2 losses like Bama does to quality teams, yet you're winning against other quality teams, which Bama does not have, by the way. Mm-hmm. I'm talking like if you have a 1-loss Michigan who lost to, let's say, Wisconsin at Wisconsin, goes and let's say Ohio State somehow is undefeated, and then Michigan then beats Ohio State and then has to go play like a 1 or 2 loss USC Big Ten West champ. Like the division games are going to start to matter more. We look at it now as, oh, this is really bad because you have a 7-4 Purdue team, but that Purdue team still took care of business in their division. Like you could look at Illinois; they were the clear favorite and they totally blew it. Or you can look at Minnesota, who started off 6-0, blew it. Like it's not Michigan's fault. The West is bad, and it's in the SEC. You're probably going to have Georgia, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida in one division, and Bama, LSU, Texas in the other. It'd be much better for football when they expand to 12 games to have the SEC still have divisions, because then you're not taking each other out. Like you would have Michigan and Ohio State. Let's say they play twice in a row, back-to-back weeks. And let's say Michigan wins the first time, Ohio State wins the second time. Like then you're going to evaluate those teams differently. Now, Ohio State would automatically get the bye because of the new scenarios, but now you're going to have probably Penn State with 2 losses, maybe, Ohio State with 1, Michigan with 1 coming out of the East, and then out of the West, you're going to have like USC, Wisconsin, and Illinois with maybe 2 or 3 losses, or 1, 2, and 3 losses. Like divisions are going to get better with conference expansion, and I think they absolutely need to keep them. I know it sounds dumb because right now they are dumb, but when you have conferences that are 16 teams large, like it's going to make sense to have them, because otherwise you're going to have 3 lost teams, and then those teams also are going to be undervalued in the committee's eyes because, oh, you couldn't get it done against maybe the top 3 teams in your division, but yet you have wins over the 4th team who would probably go and beat most of the other conferences, but top 3 teams.
So just listen to this. Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, James Franklin, Brett Bielema, Luke Fickell, Matt Rule, Lincoln Riley, and Chip Kelly will all be coaching in one conference. Talk about an elite conference with elite coaches.
Who played
and honestly, big if Mel Tucker can figure his crap out at Michigan State, which is going to take a minute because this year was just a dumpster fire. Maryland's coach,
Loxley is pretty solid.
solid.
Got a squad.
Greg Schiano at Rutgers. I know Rutgers isn't good, but dude's a great coach. Gives people fits. PJ Fleck, come out of nowhere. Kirk Ferentz is Kirk Ferentz. Jeff Brom. These are great. Pat Fitzgerald's been there for forever.
He has like 3 bad years, and then he'll have 1 great year where they go like 8-4 or whatever.
Like this is going to be a conference full of elite coaches with elite programs, which is why I actually, Andrew, it did end up being sort of our same hot take of saying the Big Ten is going to run football in the next, like starting next year, like they will run college football.
Like honestly, in all honesty, you might be in the next, like, let's say 20, we'll go fast forward to 2026. Honestly, you might have 12. I mean, probably not 12, but you'll probably have 9 ranked Big Ten teams and probably 6 or 7 ranked SEC teams. And it won't be biased because they'll just be that good.
This is true, yeah.
And then you'll have Michigan playing Texas and Oklahoma in those years for their non-conference games. So you're going to have 2 or 3 lost teams that you have to take into account those losses as quality.
And they'll be in the SEC at that time. So
and Texas will be in the SEC, so will Oklahoma. But that's my hot take. I think divisions should stay. I think they'll be important in the future of conferences. I know they look dumb right now because you have 3-loss LSU playing Georgia, but guess what? Bama didn't get the job done. Okay? That's on you, Bama. Beat LSU. Why did it come down to a 2-point conversion? Why did Tennessee have a chance to get that game-winning field goal? Like, you got to take care of business on your side, and Ohio State didn't, so they don't deserve to play in Indy next week.
I'm going to agree with you on the whole division and conference thing. Here's why. The Pac-12 is the sole example of why the non-division hurts. They had a chance to get
2 teams, maybe.
They could have got 2 teams in. Instead, they started beating up on each other. And if you had the divisions, now granted, Washington would have probably been in their division, but you don't know. And honestly, they're losing. Now they're losing 2 people. So I don't even know. Do they even have? They're gonna have like what 10 left.
It'll be the Pac-10.
Well, they won't.
Yeah, they're losing, but I think they'll bring in a few teams. I think with conference realignment, I think divisions will still matter. I think you need to keep divisions not only for the bigger conferences. Like I'm talking your Big Ten and your SEC, which will have 16 teams. I think it's important that you keep divisions for those. Not only does it help with scheduling, it also, if you don't come out of you may have 1 loss, but it may be to the other team in your division. But with expanded playoffs, you're probably going to get that bid anyways. We're probably going to see 5 Big Ten teams in the playoffs and probably 4 SEC teams, and then the 3 other conference winners. And that will be perfectly okay because those teams will all be that good.
All right, you ready for my hot take?
Go for it.
Go.
All right. As long as Jim Harbaugh is the head coach at Michigan, they will make the playoffs every year that he is the coach until he calls it quits. Whether that means he leaves or the NFL, which I don't think is ever going to happen again. I think he's going to stay until he retires. But they will make the playoffs every single year until he retires. Now, I'm not saying they won't make it past that with their new coach. I'm just saying as long as Jim Harbaugh is the head coach in Michigan, they will make the playoffs every single year. They will never miss.
I mean, I can see it, especially with the expanded playoffs. You're going to probably win that at-large bid for sure.
And he honestly, and I bet you he'll make the top 4 half of those times.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say at minimum he'd be in the top 5, but yeah, no, I could see that. I could very well see that.
Well, I'm saying top 4 because they'll get a bye.
I don't think it's that hot. I don't think it's that hot of a take just because the expanded playoffs and how good Harbaugh's kind of running this program. Also, before we move on to college football rankings reactions, Clink, I want to say thank you to your NFL franchise. Okay, from the bottom of my soul, I want to thank the Minnesota Vikings for choosing Kevin O'Connell over Jim Harbaugh. Thank you. I truly,
All
truly
right.
I
cannot
think
go-
everyone's
And I also want to say this. I hope the Vikings win the Super Bowl this year. I hope
Yeah,
they do.
it's not gonna happen. We're gonna get
They
bounced
deserve
out
it.
by the Niners
They
or
deserve
Cowboys.
it for not choosing Jim Harbaugh and letting him stay at Michigan
um
because you're
I'm
about
pretty
to
sure
hear
Harbaugh
answer
chose to
Victor
stay,
at the
but
end of the
yeah,
season this year.
Harbaugh actually chose to stay. He
now
did
listen.
They
I would
also chose O'Connell over him.
no
Because
Harbaugh.
apparently the second interview didn't go as well as O'Connell's second interview did.
That's not necessarily true. That's not true. Harbaugh went into his interview and he pretty much said like the NFL, like Harbaugh does not like the NFL. He was only gonna go because he wants to win a Super Bowl, but now he's like the NFL is a bunch of rich brats, and I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather just be. I don't want to be go to the NFL and probably be like a mid-level coach. I want to be the best in college football. I'd rather look at that because he
But
also
either
saw
way, I
Urban
would like
Meyer.
to thank the Minnesota Vikings, and I hope you guys win the Super Bowl.
Because look at Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, legend coach, goes to the NFL.
But
Whew!
Harbaugh was
Well,
actually kind of good in the NFL at first, and then the 49ers kind of screwed
Urban
him
was
over.
bad
Right.
for
I
one.
know, I
Because
know,
he already
I know.
had controversy following him, and then he just compounded it, made it worse. But
He's a real
Saban didn't do
grinder.
well in the NFL. It takes a rare coach to be able to do well in college and well in the NFL. And there's not many. Only I think Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh can say they had success in both, really. But moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
All righty. So this is the college football playoff rankings. Michigan, after beating Ohio State, slips up to the number 2 spot. TCU and USC all move up. USC jumps. Bama. They jumped Bama. No, they jumped. They jumped
Ohio State, and
Ohio State.
LSU falls all
And
the way down
LSU falls far after losing to a bad, atrocious Texas A&M. You know what? Bad A&M team. Just awful.
Yeah. That's an
Honestly, I have no gripe about this week's ranking, except for the fact of that North Carolina is even still in the top 25, along with Texas. South Carolina should have been ranked last week. I'm glad they're up at 19. Other than that, I really have no gripe.
I don't think South Carolina should be 19. I think they're better than Tulane. So I'm actually going to jump them over. Notre Dame should be out of the top 25 in all honesty. Like, look at who their 4 losses are to. Yeah, they lost to OSU and USC by 11, but they also lost to Stanford and Marshall, and they're probably between Texas and Notre Dame. Notre Dame should probably be out of the top 25. So should North Carolina. Mississippi State has no business being in the top 25. NC State, I'm fine with that 25, but I think Purdue should be ranked just because they came out of the Big Ten West and they also have 4 losses. And they played Penn State tough. They only lost by 4 to Penn State, and it came down to really like the last 2 minutes of that game. So, and then they lost to 3 by Syracuse when Syracuse was good. Now Syracuse isn't good anymore because I believe they've had some injuries and whatnot. But Purdue, I think, should be ranked just because they're division.
All right, now here's the question of
that's the only gripes I have with it, really.
Here's the question of the day. Is the only way Ohio State gets in if USC loses? Or do you think if TCU loses, Ohio State gets in?
I don't think you can make an argument for TCU or Ohio State over TCU, especially since TCU, again, playing that 13th game, and the way Michigan beat Ohio State in your own field, in the toilet seat, Michigan goes in there and flushes the turds out.
I will agree to an extent. If TCU goes in and loses by 4 touchdowns to Kansas
if they lose bad, then bump TCU out. But if they lose on a game-winning field goal or their kicker, misses a game-winning field goal by like that much, then then TCU goes in over Ohio State. But if they lose bad, get them out. Put Ohio State in. Let them play Georgia. Let them
The,
get smacked to Georgia. I don't care.
the only teams that'll make the playoff are going to be 1 through 5. Bama has no chance. They have no resume. They have no wins. Their losses are not that great, especially after LSU losing. And they almost lost A&M, who just beat LSU, who beat them. Like, A&M probably should have won if they call a better play. I think it's going to end up being actually how it is. I think all the teams are going to win this week. And I think Ohio State's going to be left out. I think depending on how Georgia LSU game goes, if Georgia LSU is close and Georgia wins by a field goal and Michigan absolutely obliterates Purdue, you could put Michigan ahead. But
that's the only case. I think this is our top 4. On the other side of the break, we'll break down all the conference championship games as well as NFL's best and NFL game predictions.
And we're back.
Let's go.
We just broke down the college football rankings. Now we're going to head into conference championship week. We're going to break down every single conference championship game, make our picks. So the MAC championship, MACtion, the Toledo Rockets versus the Ohio Bobcats. Toledo's given a 54.5% chance to win over the Ohio Bobcats. Toledo's a 2.5 favorite over Ohio in the Mid-American Conference Championship in Detroit, Michigan. Andrew, what do we think?
Toledo has
the alma mater.
Toledo has looked real bad lately. Let me tell you, they have looked awful. Our quarterbacks, both quarterbacks, have been banged up. If DeQuan Finn is healthy and ready to go, Toledo definitely can win. But if he's not, and Tucker Gleason's still dealing with his hand injury, our backup QB, it could be rough. Ohio's got a really good running back, I believe, and he ran all over the entire MAC for the last 8 games or whatever. I'm picking Toledo to win because I want them to win, but Ohio might beat us by like 3 touchdowns. Ohio might be the best team to come out of Ohio this year.
I was waiting on that.
I did see a graphic that did say that it was like the best football teams in each state, and they actually put Ohio Bobcats as the graphic.
That actually they might win their conference, unlike that other school in Ohio. And guess what? I don't think any school from Ohio is going to be in the playoffs this year.
You love to see it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm picking Toledo, but don't be surprised if Ohio wins by 3 touchdowns.
Aaron?
I'm going to go with OU. The real OU. Thank you.
OU, oh yeah, am I right?
Yeah. They know how to party.
As a 1-year attendee of the University of Toledo, I love my Rockets. But man, that last performance was absolutely atrocious. However, Toledo owns the MAC championship game. I think Toledo's going to win this and cover in the MAC championship game. But also would not be surprised if they did lose by 21, like Andrew said. But I really do think that everyone's healthy. They'll be ready to play. Also, with it being in Ford Field, inside, they'll be fine.
Toledo does have the best secondary in the MAC. We have a really good secondary, so it is going to be tough to throw, but our run defense is probably worse than Ohio State's in the 4th quarter.
All right.
Hey, now. All right, the Conference USA Championship, North Texas versus UTSA. Conference USA. FPI gives UTSA a 74.3% chance over University of North Texas. The spread is UTSA minus 8.5 in the Conference USA Championship. Aaron.
I'm going to go with UTSA. I think they cover, and I think it'll be a good game.
Andrew?
UTSA is on a roll right now, let me tell you. They have won all 5 of their last 5, and probably more than that. I can only see their last 5 on ESPN. I don't know much about Conference USA because it's never on TV where I am. So
This is true.
sorry about that, Conference USA fans. Just be better, I guess. Um, North Texas has struggled a little bit. They lost to UAB. UAB is not that great, but give me UTSA. They're probably gonna throw the ball over the yard and win.
Same. Give me UTSA. I just don't. I don't see North Texas winning this game. UTSA is on a roll, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. I just want to just real quick. We had just talked about the college football playoff and how certain teams get in. And this pretty reliable source pretty much put it this way: Georgia and Michigan are locks. TCU, you're in if you just don't get blown out. USC just win. For Ohio State to need it, they need USC to slip up or TCU to get blown out. And Alabama needs both USC and TCU to lose by a lot, 4 scores specifically. I think that's pretty much what we just said is for those teams to make. I honestly don't think Bama has a chance at all.
No, they have no resume. Your resume is a close one against Texas, who's ranked 20, but you only put up 20 points against Texas.
Or they'll find a way. You know what? Georgia, Tennessee, Bama, and LSU. You're all in. Congratulations.
Honestly, I'd be surprised if that ends up happening, knowing the committee.
Sun Belt Championship. Troy versus Coastal Carolina. Troy is given a 73.9% FPI chance to win and is favored by 8.5 over Coastal Carolina. Andrew.
Troy has not lost since they lost on that Hail Mary heave against App State, like week 2. So Troy started like 0-2, and now they're 10-2. Troy is on an absolute roll. Coastal Carolina, very talented team. I like what their coach is doing down there, and I'm actually kind of a fan of Coastal Carolina. I do have a sweatshirt from there. They got a cool field, cool logo. But I'm picking Troy to win. They're on a roll. Momentum means a lot in these championship games. And I think Troy is just on a roll right now, and they're going to win the Sun Belt.
Aaron.
Yeah, I got Troy. Obviously, like Andrew said, ever since they lost to Appalachian State, they've been on a tear, aka they've probably just been pissed off because they lost to App State. But yeah, I got Troy, and I think they cover once again.
Yeah, Texas A&M went on a real tear after they lost to App State too.
Yeah, they had tears rolling down their faces.
So I just want to say Sun Belt, more like Fun Belt. Am I right?
Absolutely.
If you're Brett, maybe
don't see
my quarterback.
So in the Sun Conference, whoever is the higher seed, 1 or 2, number 1 gets to host. So I think that's why, like, same thing with Conference USA. It's, I think that's why they're favored by more because they are on their home turf. They don't have to go anywhere. So give me.
Purdue had to go play Michigan in Ann Arbor this week. Purdue has no chance. Okay, let me tell you.
I don't think they have a chance either way. But
Indies are second home, but West Lafayette is real close. So, but we'll get that game.
Give me Troy from Troy, Alabama, to win the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
Jacob, you do realize you're down 10-9 picks to me, and we've picked all 3 of the same teams so far.
That's all right. You know what?
I guess you still have your major bowl games to pick too. So
you're right, and also like whoever I think is gonna win is who I pick. I don't have to necessarily try to win that.
True.
As long as I don't finish last, Aaron can have that title if he wants.
You might finish.
Yeah, well,
we might have a double last place finisher, but we got a lot of NFL football left. So
yes, we do. Don't forget that.
A lot of NFL left. One bad weekend, and you could be taken out. So let's move on. Forget who's next.
The American Athletic Championship game at Tulane. UCF and Tulane. Tulane's given a 59.3% chance to win, and Tulane is favored 3.5 in this game. Aaron?
Well, Tulane, they beat UC last week and probably ran Luke Fickell out of town. Um,
I don't
no,
know
that's
that.
not. It's not obviously. I'm gonna go Tulane because I think they obviously have the better quarterback, and I think Tulane they got a nice team. They got a squad.
Squad. Andrew?
Don't cover.
Tulane UCF rematch. Last time UCF wins, but UCF just blew a 28-point lead against a 1-10 South Florida team, and had to come down to probably one of the best catches we've seen in a while, in college football at least. Dude, tight end caught it and like dragged his toe, like as he's falling away, and barely gets into the end zone to win. Um, Tulane's running back is an absolute dog. This man tore Cincinnati a new one. Give me Tulane. They're riding a lot of momentum, and I think they win.
So, it's really, really hard to beat a team twice in college football. So hard. Especially you have film on the team, you played them. It's so much easier to game plan when you actually have film playing that team. UCF went into Tulane and beat them by 7 points. And actually, if I remember correctly, they were up, I think, 2 scores, maybe even 3. I don't know. I don't know if it ended up getting
It
to
was like
3, but at some
17, I
point.
think, at one point.
Yeah. But again, it's so hard to win. However, Tulane doesn't have Gus Malzahn as their head coach.
That is true.
So, not so fast, my friends. UCF's going to go into Tulane, beat them again. UCF's going to get the New Year's Six bid as the best group of 5 team.
To get
Give
blown
me
up by
UCF.
Ohio.
No, Ohio State's going to go blow out the runner-up of the Pac-12.
I don't know about that. They might put Penn State out there.
Well, that's
That's
if
for
Ohio
another
State
time.
makes the playoffs.
We'll find out Sunday. We'll find out Sunday at 1 p.m.
So give me UCF. Give me the Knights.
I do like that mascot.
Give me the Tulane's green wave, though. That mascot's derpy as hell, and I love it.
Mountain West Championship. Fresno State versus Boise State. Is there a Fresno University and a Boise University?
I don't know.
That was just the abbreviation.
That'd be cool if there was. Boise is given a 69% chance to win over Fresno State. Boise is a 3-point favorite over Fresno State. Aaron, you start with, we'll start with Andrew on this one.
So I watched the Fresno State Wyoming game. Wyoming isn't that great, but they still have a pretty solid record. Boise State, they're pretty solid. They're a pretty solid squad. They're kind of always up there in the Mountain West. They always do pretty good. Just looking at the stats, Fresno State's got Jake Hayner, their quarterback, who I really like. He reminds me a lot of Derek Carr, not just because they both came from Fresno, just because of the way they play. Boise State does have the better defense statistically, but give me Fresno State. Jake Hayner goes in there and he says, I'm the guy. Give me Fresno State. The upset, Boise.
Aaron?
I'm going to do what Andrew's doing. I'm picking Fresno State because strictly they have the better quarterback.
Not so fast, my friends. Boise State already beat Fresno State by 20 points this year at Boise State. And where's the game at again? Boise State.
It's really hard to beat a team twice. You just said that.
This
Yeah,
is
and
true.
you have to win
And
again.
you also
so.
picked against it.
This is true.
Twice.
However,
Andrew, I think we should have been saying not so
the
fast.
Mountain West,
Maybe we
the
should.
Mountain West is a lot closer than the ACC.
The mountains. I'm kidding.
Or I'm sorry, I said that backwards. The AAC is a lot closer than Mountain West. Mountain West is just minor league football at this point. So
Boise State's had some couple good squads in the last few years.
I know, but ain't rolling up into Columbus and beating them by 23 points either.
Well, no, that's reserved for the greatest team in the nation.
So
With the
Georgia?
best damn band in the land.
Boise State gonna win again.
That's right, because Michigan beat you by 45 points combined in the last 2 years. Our band is now the best damn band in the land. Suck it.
Are you talking to Ohio State? Well, there's probably no Ohio
You
State
just
fans.
lost to the Michigan Wolverines. Pose.
Are you
Hey,
guys talking to the Ohio?
The turnover
Hey.
buffs are cold. Okay, those are some cold. That's probably the coldest turnover prop.
Are you guys talking to the Ohio State fans that are watching this game? Because I don't know who you're talking to or watching this episode.
I'm talking to everybody. Best.
Hey, Andrew. Fun fact. I want to know if you know it. The Michigan Wolverine mascot. What is his name?
We don't have one.
There is a name.
Oh, is it Brutus?
No. They're like the cartoon
45-23.
mascot, that's everything.
Oh,
There's actually a name for our mascot, even though we actually don't have a mascot.
well, we
there's a
used to
name.
have live Wolverines, and then
Right.
the Warriors had scratches and stuff on them, so we got rid of them.
Right, but they had a name. Do you know what the name
I
is?
forget off the top of my head.
Biff.
Biff.
Let's put that
All
out
right,
there.
moving
All right,
on.
let's move on.
To the ACC. The Group of 6 conference. Here we go. Clemson versus UNC.
ACC championship game. Clemson versus North Carolina.
Yeah, that's supposed to say North Carolina.
Apparently, Clemson's playing UK. Finding the editor once again. Clemson is a 77.7% FPI favorite over UNC. Spread is Clemson at -7.5. We'll start with Aaron on this one.
Well, Clemson has been a very big disappointment this year, and honestly, so is DJ. So, give me the Tar Heels. That's all. That's the take.
That is the take. Okay. UNC played really tough against NC State. Came down to a missed field goal and double overtime. I think if that goes to triple overtimes, UNC might have pulled that one off. Clemson is a little ticked off about losing to South Carolina against some pretty up and down. Watching Spencer Rattler play quarterback is the biggest roller coaster ride in your life.
Yeah, it really is.
This man against Tennessee was on top of like the Diamondback at Kings Island, okay? And then to start the Clemson game, this man just goes, yeah, and then he comes back up, and then he goes, yeah, and then back up, and then back down.
He goes upside down.
I don't know how anybody can watch this man and keep a steady heart rate because it's just all over the place. DJ Uiagalelei might be the worst starting Power 5 quarterback the way he's been playing. He was 8 for 29 against.
Spencer Petras still exists.
That is true. I forgot.
I don't even think he would do that bad. I'm sorry.
I don't think UNC is going to win, but I do think they cover and make it a lot closer than that. But I do think Clemson comes out a little ticked off. Dabo knows how to prepare. Clemson wins and ends their season. ACC champs. The ACC is now a group of 5. Okay, it's now the group of 6. We have the Power 4 conferences. Okay, this is the group of 6. Okay.
Excuse me. Aaron.
He picked UNC.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot I started with you. Clemson. UNC's awful. I don't even. That their division is just atrocious. Clemson's gonna absolutely spank them and then revive them and spank them again. Give me Clemson, the Tigers.
Moving on to the
right.
Big Ten Championship.
Fucking A.
Dictionary.
The Big Ten Championship game. The Michigan Wolverines versus the Purdue Choo Choo Trains. Michigan is favored 89% to Purdue Thomas the Train Engines 11%. Michigan is favored by 16.5, which is freaking generous. Purdue is a 16.5 underdog in Indianapolis this weekend at 8 p.m. on Fox with Joe Klatt and Gus Johnson. So
Just got
you know
content.
what? You know what, Gus Johnson? I know you're a Michigan guy because you just are.
They've
Well,
called like 7 games this
no, no,
year
no.
for Michigan.
So listen, Gus Johnson, just give you a little just a little thing. No, not Gus Johnson, the comedian. Gus Johnson was born in Detroit, Michigan. Born and raised
He's also a
a
Lions fan. I do know that. He is a
Michigan
Lions
guy.
fan.
So Joe Klatt felt the nerve, which I know he hated to say it. He probably was throwing up as he was saying it. He said, Michigan Wolverines versus the world famous Ohio State Buckeyes. You know what?
World
We have
famous
taken that title. We are the world famous Michigan Wolverine. We're going to go into Indy. Purdue's going to wish they didn't come out of the West. Michigan's going to beat them 49-3 like we did the last Big Ten West team we played. Purdue is going to choo-choo their train right back to West Lafayette and wish they never played Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines. That's my pick.
Since going to East versus West divisions, which was 2014-ish, because it was leaders versus legends, but they did top 2 went anyways. The West, I don't think, has won a single game. There have been some close ones, but the West just hasn't been up there. And two of the bottom 3 Big Ten East teams beat like the 2 out of the top 3 Big Ten West teams. Thoughts and prayers with Aiden O'Connell and his family, as his brother did die last week. So thoughts and prayers out to them. But Michigan's not going to feel sorry for you. He hasn't been at practice all week. I do think he's going to come out and play well. But guess what, Purdue? You don't have the toughness that Michigan does. Michigan's on a mission, and your train is going to do what it did at Iowa. It's just going to come out there like you did at the tunnel, and then it's just going to stop on the tracks, okay? Michigan is probably going to win by 35. It might be close at halftime. It might be 17-10 at halftime or whatever, but you're going to lose bad.
The Jim Harbaugh train's on the tracks, and he ain't stopping for no one.
The only thing the Spoilermakers are going to do is spoil their pants. Wear the brown ones this week.
Aaron?
Unfortunately, I have to pick Michigan. They're going to run a train on the whatever Purdue's mascot is. I don't care. Get that shit off my.
All right, moving on to the SEC championship game.
The SEC championship game. The Go Tigers head to Atlanta to take on the Georgia Bulldogs.
In their second home.
Uga is favored 83% to 17%. Uga is favored by 17.5. SEC championship game. Aaron, we'll start with you.
Give me the dogs. And I think they cover also.
I think this one's pretty obvious which way it's going to go. LSU just lost to a bad Texas A&M team. Yeah, they might come out with a little bit of fire, but guess what? Your coach is still Brian Kelly. He still can't win the big ones. He can't even win the little ones right now. Give me Georgia by actually, you know what? Give me Georgia by 21 points exactly. Georgia does not blow teams out on the scoreboard, really. It's more of a beatdown, but not on the scoreboard because of the way they run their offense. Georgia's going to cover, but barely. LSU is going to go home crying like they always do.
You know who LSU can't beat? ALM. All right, moving on to the Pac-12 championship game. The Dr. Pepper.
Butson, do you have the dogs? You had the dogs in the last one?
Oh,
right?
yeah. Dogs.
Yeah, okay.
Dr.
Pepper, Big 12
this
championship.
is the Dr. Pepper Big 12 championship game.
It's actually called that. Everyone else is just like Conference USA or whatever. This one is the Dr. Pepper
Well,
Big 12 Championship.
The
I like
Big
that.
Tens is the Discover Big Ten
It's
Championship.
presented by Discover, but on ESPN it's just Big Ten Championship. Whereas
You're right. You're
ESPN
right.
lists this one as Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship game.
Dr. Pepper's so good.
It is. I'm addicted again. It's a problem.
TCU versus Kansas State. FPI gives TCU a 53.9% chance to win and is favored by 2.5 points. We all know who Aaron said because in his hot take.
No. Hold on. I was throwing you guys off.
Hold on. You can't change your hot take.
Hey, he
that was a hot
just said it
take.
was a hot take. He didn't say he was
A
picking
hot
it.
take.
All right.
Just like Russell Wilson may be the first NFL blind quarterback, but
And then he says, "Nah, I'm just playing Kansas State." All right, we'll start with you, Aaron.
I'm going TCU. I'm not letting Jacob pass me up. That's not happening. I refuse. TCU covers and then some.
well, he might. You guys do have a couple different picks here. Kansas State did lose to TCU after blowing an 18-point lead. TCU rolled against Iowa State, and I think they really have found their defense. I think it was something they might have struggled with early in the year, but they really have seemed to they really have seemed to gel the last couple of weeks. I think the Texas game was a real turning point for their defense, and I think TCU actually rolls Kansas State and wins by 21. TCU knows what they need to do, and there is 60 minutes of football standing between them and getting rolled by Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. Give me TCU.
Give me the Horned Frogs.
Why are you doing Spider-Man's? Are you trying to shoot webs? What are you doing?
This is the Horned Frog.
Give me the Horned Frogs.
Okay.
Kansas State ain't got nothing. They got nothing on the Horned Frogs.
Kansas State can make it close, though. I will say that.
TCU's heading to Arizona to take on Michigan in the playoffs. The Pac-12 championship game rematch of earlier in the season, USC and Utah. USC is given a 61.2% chance to win over Utah's 38.3. I'm sorry, 38.8. Sorry, spread is USC minus 3 points. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Utah won in a very emotional game. The first time these two teams played came down to a 2-point conversion. Sound familiar?
And I just want to correct that this is wrong. Utah is favored 61.2, not USC.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That's on me. I read that wrong. The colors.
Utah is favored by 61.2, but
Really?
USC is
Utah's
favored by
favored.
the spread.
Oh, okay. So I switched that around. That's on me for the presentation. I did not mess up the UNC UK one earlier, though. That's not on me.
Just like Donovan Edwards, Andrew's gone now.
I think the FBI is really deceiving here. I don't think Utah is. I think they've struggled recently. They lost to Oregon in a game where they turned the ball over a lot, or they almost had a lot of turnovers. USC is very good at turning the ball over. USC's offense is clicking on a level I don't think anybody else is right now. I think USC's offense is very explosive, and Caleb Williams is playing out of his freaking mind. Give me USC and USC big.
Aaron?
Yeah, watching the USC Notre Dame game last Saturday, Caleb Williams had that one escape from a sack. I think we all know what we're talking about. And that was his Heisman moment. So that dude's he's got the Heisman on lock at this point. Give me USC by like 20.
Because Stroud said, bye-bye, Heisman, and threw it right to Taylor Upshaw.
Caleb Williams is a dog. USC's going to win big. They're going to keep Ohio State out of the playoffs. Georgia, USC, Michigan, TCU in the playoffs for probably one of the weirdest, not weirdest, but the most interesting playoffs because it's not.
I'd say this would be the most unique playoff, 14 playoffs.
You look at all those analysts who had all the same 4 teams: Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. And then you have Desmond Howard, who picked Michigan, Texas A&M, Georgia, what was it, Baylor, Pitt? Yeah, it was those four. Well,
Baylor,
guess
Pitt,
he had
and
all the conferences right, other than the ACC. He just didn't have the teams right. So
All
he's
right.
also the only one at Michigan in it. So that's a W in my book.
yeah, facts. We turned that M upside down to W, just like Michigan State did.
All right. Did
For
everyone finish?
Wombo.
Wombology, the study of getting your ass kicked.
NFL's best with the man, the myth, the legend, Aaron Clinker.
All right. Well, if you two would stop sucking off Michigan for 2 seconds, please allow me to talk about the NFL. So Thanksgiving, we actually had a very interesting slate of games. First off, the Lions. I'm so sorry. I don't know why y'all can't seem to close out games, but here we are. The Bills took them down 28-25. Then the Giants and Cowboys. The score does not tell the entire story of the game. The Cowboys dominated the Giants in every aspect of football that day. And then the Patriots Vikings. Now, Patriots fans, I'm sorry, but that was not a catch. Hunter Henry did not have control of the ball coming down. It was not a catch. You can fight me. This is not biased. This is just how the rules are stated. And then for the Sunday slate, we have the Bengals Titans. The Bengals continue to own Tennessee. T. Higgins had himself a game, and Ryan Tannehill just had his 13th reason why. So Malik Willis, you're starting next week. Then Rams Chiefs. Rams are dead. Chiefs did Chiefs-like things. So yeah, they keep on rolling. Then Buccaneers and Browns. The Browns ended up beating the Bucs in overtime thanks to a Nick Chubb touchdown. They get that number 4 quarterback I will not speak of next week, and he's returning to his former team against Houston.
Sean Watson.
We'll see how he plays next week. I'm not talking about him anymore. And then Texans Dolphins. The Texans made the Dolphins defense look like the 85 Bears. The Dolphins defense is not as good as people think. They are just up against the Texans, who are praying that Bryce Young can single-handedly lift up that franchise. Then Bears Jets. We have the return of the man, the myth, the legend, the king. Zach Wilson might be fucking moms, but Mike White is making them call him daddy. Mike White returns and dominates the Chicago Bears, and we were robbed of a Nathan Peterman football game, and I am very disappointed.
Yeah, someone got that report wrong. Schefter.
Anyways, Falcons Commanders. The Commanders keep on rolling for whatever reason, and Brian Robinson was wearing the big hat afterwards, which I thought that was hilarious. Falcons may be on their way to a midseason collapse. Well, not midseason, but you know what I mean. And then Panthers Broncos. Broncos country. Just jump off a cliff. And then we have Ravens Jaguars, and this was probably one of the better games all Sunday, which is something I never thought I'd say. I'm pretty sure we all got this pick wrong. The Jags are a very confusing team. It's like 1 week they look like they can make a playoff push, and the next week they get their ass beat. So make up your mind. Oh, in Baltimore, Lamar's leaving. So get ready. And then Chargers Cardinals. Kyler, you need to get back in that playbook. Stay off Warzone. Chargers get a much-needed win, and they stay in the playoff hunt. And then Raiders Seahawks. This was probably the second best game all Sunday. Josh Jacobs walked it off in OT, and that man is on a mission to get a contract. I don't know if it's going to be from the Raiders, but it probably will be. And then Saints 49ers. 49ers pitched a shutout. It wasn't like a big blowout win, but a shutout's a shutout. You know, you can win 3-0, 6-0, 10-0. It don't matter. It's still a shutout. The Saints are dead. The Eagles have your draft pick. It's probably in the top 10. No, it definitely is. It's in the top 5, I'm pretty sure. And speaking of the Eagles, Eagles-Packers played on Sunday night, and I honestly didn't want to root for either of these teams. I was hoping they would tie, but nope. Aaron Rodgers may have played his last game in a Packers uniform, which that's not true because they signed him to like a 5-year extension. So y'all have fun with that. Jordan Love looked okay though, but I'm not concerned with him. And then the Eagles continue to run the ball down the team's throats. They can't really do anything about it. And then Steelers Colts. Kenny Kitten Mittens had a pretty good game, and the Colts are they're dead. They're dead. So yep, that was the NFL's best with yours truly.
Yes, sir. Let's head into these picks.
Rifle through them,
Are you kidding me?
and we're looking at Aaron's dictionary again.
Yeah, I don't use it very much.
All right, let's start with Andrew.
All right, give me Buffalo playing back-to-back Thursday night games. They finally go play New England. They'll win that one. Packers, Bears, Green Bay. Guess what? Aaron Rodgers still owns you, Chicago. Even with the broken thumb, he's still going to go in there and just kind of double check all over your franchise. Pittsburgh, Atlanta. I don't think Pittsburgh's lost since TJ Watt has been back, so give me Pittsburgh. Jets, Vikings. Let's go Minnesota. As Joe Biden said, who's winning this week? Minnesota. The Lions may be dead, but we're not deader than Jacksonville.
Y'all have the same record.
Eagles Titans might be a Big Ten West football game. Give me the Eagles though. Browns Texans. Deshaun Watson is going to come back in there, point at the booth with the 24 women, and go, "This one's for you," and then throw 5 touchdown passes. And then Commanders Giants. Give me the Giants at home.
All right, Aaron, quickly.
Give me the Bills. Give me the Packers. Aaron Rodgers owns your asses. Give me the Steelers. Give me the Vikings. Kirk Cousins is about to make you his bitch. Give me the Lions. Give me the Eagles, unfortunately. Give me the Browns because Deshaun's about to get a happy ending. And then give me the Commanders.
All right, give me Buffalo. Give me the Pack. Go Pack, go. Give me Atlanta. Give me Minnesota. Give me Detroit. Give me Tennessee. Give me Cleveland. And give me, where did it go? The Washington Commanders.
Clint, did you pick the Commanders?
Yes, I did.
All right. Next one, quickly, Andrew, go.
I have the Giants. I have the Ravens because Denver is dead and that defense is going to stop playing for you, Russell Wilson. Miami.
Let's go.
Give me I picked San Fran. Give me San Fran, Seattle because the Rams are dead. The Chargers because the Raiders are dead. The Chiefs because they're going to put the Bengals back in their place. Give me the Cowboys because the Colts are dead. And give me the Saints because Tom Brady's old.
Aaron.
Give me the Ravens. Give me the Dolphins. Give me the Seahawks. Give me the Chargers. Give me the Bengals. We all know what happened last year at Paul Brown. Give me the Cowgirls, and then give me the. I gotta go with the Buccaneers because the Saints they're dead.
All right, give me Ojabo. Give me San Francisco. Give me the Rams. Give me the Chargers. Give me Cincinnati. Give me Dallas, and give me the GOAT, Tom Brady, and the Buccaneers. This is your installment of TC Sports. We will see you next week.